Our Parsha describes the first 7 of the 10 plagues. And these 10 plagues were absolutely devastating and brought the country of Egypt to its knees. We see, for example, there was the plague of blood, which destroyed the water sources. We see, for example, that there was the plague of hail, which destroyed all of the vegetation. And if this wasn't bad, then, as we'll see in next week's Parsha, the locusts came and consumed whatever was left. There were wild beasts. There were the boils that made everybody so uncomfortable they couldn't stand. These were terrible, terrible plagues. But let's look at the second plague, the plague of Tzifardea, frogs. Now, granted, frogs are irritating, annoying. They were jumping everywhere. They were jumping into people's homes, on their beds. They were jumping into their utensils. People generally don't like frogs. They're slimy. But okay, it was an annoyance, an irritation. But a devastating plague doesn't seem to be like the rest of the others. Rashi quotes the Midrash Tanchuma that says that the plagues that were brought on the Egyptians was similar to when an army besieges a city. There are a number of tactics that army engages in order to bring that city to a point that they surrender. So, for example, the first plague, which is blood, is to cut off the water supplies. No water coming into the city, the people are going to starve. They're going to die of thirst. And then, what is the next thing that they do? They bring out the trumpets. They blow the trumpets to frighten the people in the city. This is the frogs. The issue with the frogs, the reason why they were so uncomfortable is because of the noise that they made, the croaking. And in fact, the Midrash says that the croaking of the frogs was far worse than any damage that they caused. There was just this incessant noise going all of the time. It was an example of extreme noise pollution. Now, we live in a world that is very, very noisy. There are cars driving on the streets. There are aeroplanes going. There's construction work going. Our cell phones are ringing. The computers are on. People are talking all of the time. We live with incredible noise. And sometimes we don't really even appreciate what type of a plague it is until we go out into the countryside, somewhere quiet for a holiday. And we go outside into nature and we can hear the birds and the insects and we can feel the wind. And then we realize that we're living in a world of noise. And that noise is very distracting. And that was the issue with the plague of frogs. It was such a noise, it was such a distraction. And this can be understood on a figurative level. We're distracted all the time. There's noise around us. We have to cut off that noise. We have to have a time of quiet. And of course, one of the big examples of this is Shabbat. So let's keep the croaking away. Let's keep the noise at bay and try to come close to Hashem, at least one day a week, a day of quiet and solitude and no noise. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.